Hey, welcome to Taylor's Trick Taking Table. I'm taking you on a month of national parks. Here we are at the amazing Old Faithful Geyser in Yellowstone. We're starting this off strong, and you'll see, hopefully I can get a little eruption on camera, we'll see. But the games we're covering today, No Loose Ends, which is by Taiki Shinzawa, the amazing Taiki Shinzawa, is a re-implementation of Shut the Books. So a little bit similar to that one if you have watched that video in the past, but there's some changes there by Paul Solomon and Pete Wissinger that are really awesome. So I'm excited to show those. And also a re-implementation of Gudetama called CorgiPileup. And that is by Steve Ellis and Paul Solomon. The really interesting thing is both of those games are illustrated by the amazing Sai Beppu. And Sai and Taiki, probably the two biggest names for the channel, have not been on a game together before. So No Loose Ends is huge. And the hook to that one is you're bidding with cards in your hand on what type of tricks you're hoping to take. It's very similar to Shut the Books. And then finally, CorgiPileup is kind of like Schadenfreude, but the last card, you look at the rank, and that is how much you move up on a path. So hopefully this will explode soon, and we will start off the wonderful National Park month here on the channel. Thank you so much. Catch ya. Let's go to the table. The deck in No Loose Ends is 4 suits numbered 1 through 15. At 4 and 5 player, you'll use the full deck, but at 2 and 3, you'll take out the 13, 14, and 15. Also, I'll be teaching the rules with the included getaway cards, but that is also technically not recommended for your first game. Here we have a game set up for 3 players, so depending on the player count, you're going to use this quick setup chart to make the deck, deal out the number of cards per player, and also determine the max bid for bidding. If you've already played Shut the Books, I'll explain the differences at the end, but I'll teach the full teach here. So finishing out this setup at 3, you're going to have 3 cards undealt. You're just going to set those aside. You have these point tokens in denominations of 1, 5, and 10. And then at 3 players, everyone's going to get 16 cards. So starting with the player who most recently had a master plan, or just random, they are going to be choosing to either pass or place a card down. And when players are placing a card down, they are saying that I'm going to take a trick, and not just take a trick, but also take a trick with either a card of that suit or number, or there's a little bit difference as well, but that is generally the gist of what they're doing here. So this player down here, the key player, is saying I'm going to take either a blue trick or a trick with a 9. So this player over here maybe does a 4, and maybe this player just passes. And so they're thinking they're not going to take any tricks. This player over here maybe plays that, this player does that, this player does that, and maybe there, and then you can pass if you want to, so maybe this player just does this finally, and this player passes, and that's pretty much just the bidding. So this player thinks they're going to take 4 tricks, this player 3 tricks, and those are the specific types, and this player thinks they're not going to take any tricks at all. Going to the trick taking, it is must follow, so they say this person played a 1 in the fingerprint suit. Coming up to here, this player will have to play a fingerprint, so maybe they play the 12, and then coming to this player, they're also going to follow suit. So if you take a trick that, so this person took it with a 12, they can cover up this because it has the same suit. So this player is just going to flip it, and they have successfully hit one of their 3 tricks. So maybe now they lead with an 8, because coming over to this player and then this player, if a person also hits the rank, they also can cover it up. So they led with an 8 because they're hoping to win the trick with that card, and then since that's an 8 and that's an 8, they'll also cover up that. If, I'll just lead from the top here, if they ever win a trick that didn't quite match what they were going for, like as you can see they won with an 11 and its fingerprint, that is bad. That's called a loose end. And this player, the camera player, which is just my phone, will have taken an extra trick, a loose end. And the game name, if you haven't seen, is No Loose Ends, so that's obviously bad. That is going to be not good for them for scoring, so they're going to set that off to the side as an extra trick, and then they're gonna, lead to the next trick. The highest card of the lead suit is going to win unless there is a card of the trump suit, and the trump suit is blue. So if, in this example, this player over here didn't have that 6 of red, they could play whatever they wanted, and they could trump in. The cool thing about the trump suit is that this trick right here, they could count it as winning it with a blue, so they could flip this one and then flip that. Or the special thing about the trump suit is that you can always count a trick that was led in that color that you've actually won with a trump card as one of your predictions. So over here, this player, in this example, they don't have any more red, so they would have to win with a 7 to flip this, or since this trick was led with red and they trumped in, you can consider this as a red trick. So trump is really cool in that way. The last thing to explain in the trick ticking is the getaway cards. They are ways that you can play whenever you want, but essentially they make it so you can always lose the trick. They can't be used for bidding, and they just help you in the trick play to get out of winning a trick. And if everyone plays one, the actually first played player will win the trick, but otherwise it can never win a trick. So let's jump to scoring now. Players are going to look at how well they did, and they're going to get points for hitting their bid or not. So every time they successfully hit, they are going to get 2 points per. But for every loose end that they have, whether they bid and they didn't get it, or if they took an extra trick, they're going to lose 1 point. So this player got 2, 4 for those, but then they lost 2 points, 1 minus for each of the loose ends. Over here, this player got 2, but then they lost 3. Brutal. If a player is not taking any tricks, like if they passed and they don't want to take any tricks, that's called snitching. And what snitching is, interesting, is if they do take a trick, it's just like a loose end. So they didn't successfully snitch, they would have gotten minus 1 point to the Toyota fob here. But if they snitched and they said, I'm not going to take any, then they actually change the scoring for other players. So a successful snitch will make it so every loose end is actually minus 2 points. And also, I should have said in a previous example, let's say this player up here actually hit it perfectly. If you hit perfectly, like you make your bid and hit it exactly, no loose ends on the side and no missing, you actually do a perfect crime and you get 5 bonus points. But if someone successfully snitched, there's no such thing as a perfect crime, and you don't get those 5 bonus points. So in this case, if this player down here who tried to snitch got a trick, this player up here, we get 2, 4, 6, plus 5, so 11 total points for a perfect crime. But if this player did snitch and didn't get any tricks, this player would just get 6, no 5 for the perfect crime. Whereas this player over here would lose 2 for each loose end now, so minus 6 plus 2, so oof on that person. And that's pretty much the game. You're going to play 3 total rounds, and whoever has the most points wins. Last rule to explain, there is the double cross, and it comes in during the bidding. So if a person's bidding, and this person bids, you can, if you want to, take all your cards back up and double cross everyone and say, actually, I'm snitching. And only one person can do it, and it's the first person to do it in a round. And that's how to play No Loose Ends. The deck in CorgiPileup is 1 through 10 with 5 copies each, and the 1, 3, 6, and 10 have special powers on them. Here we have the game set up for 3 players, so players are going to get their tokens and put it on the bottom 0 space here. All the players for the round are going to get dealt 5 cards, and you're going to just have the rest set aside here. And the game is all about playing the last card and what value is on that last card. So it's similar to the game Gudetama if you have played, but essentially someone's going to start the trick. So let's say the dog food bowl is up here, they play a 5. And on your turn, coming to this player, you have to play higher or the lowest card in your hand. So this player right here can play either the 7 or the 2. So let's say they play the 7. Coming to this player over here, again, they have to play higher or their lowest, so they can play the 10 or the 2. Let's say they play the 10. And what's interesting is, on the 10, is there's a power. It says the trick winner chooses an opponent to lead. So this was the trick winner because they played the highest. They're going to choose maybe this person to lead again. So then this player, maybe they play again a 5. So coming to this player here, they have to play their 2 because they're forced. And then this player over here, maybe they play their 6 now. This has another power. If it wins, you choose any player to discard a card, then draw one. So maybe, since they did win, they choose that player to discard a card. This player is going to discard that 1 and then draw this up. Since this player won, they're going to lead. Maybe they play the 3, which has another power. This is this trick. Players must climb or play their highest card. So this player doesn't have the option to play their highest. They didn't have an option anyway, but they're going to play the 1. And the 1, which is the final power, it says in the final trick, you can score 0 or any played card. But this is not the final trick, so that does not trigger. Since this is still in effect, they must climb. Funny enough, they only have options to climb, so maybe they just play the 4 so that they don't really have any choice after anyway. So then this player would win the trick. They're going to play into the final thing. This player has to play their lowest. This player has to play their lowest, which is that. This power doesn't matter. And so now we're at the final trick, and this is the only one that matters. And players will move up the rank of the card that they have. So this was the dog bowl person. They're going to go to 3. This, let's say, was the paw print, and then that makes this person that. So now we have done one full round. To do another full round, we're going to shuffle the deck, deal 5 cards each player as normal. But as you can see here, the whole point of this game is to get as high on this chart without going over. And how it works is when someone does go over, so let's say jump forward, and this is what the last round looked like. This was the dog bowl person. They get 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're definitely off. And then these 2 players get 2. This player gets 2. They jump off. This player gets 1, 2. This player would win. It's whoever's the highest win. At the end of a round, someone has jumped off. And that's how to play Corgi Pileup. If you've played Gudetama, the only changes are you have this track here from 0 to 15, and the game ends when at the end of a round someone has gone off that 15 and they loop all the way down to the bottom here. And how you move around is at the very last trick, you're going to look at the rank of the card you played and you're going to move that much up. So let's say it looked like this, and it's near the end here, and this player, the green, has played the 5. They're going to go whoop, 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 and they're looping all the way around. Definitely not going to win. And then the 3 player here goes 1, 2, 3, and the last, this player goes 4. Not the best example to show a tie, but let's say it was swapped or something like this, where it looked like that. And how it works is then the player who's the highest is going to score points. If it was tied, so going back here into this example, it would be the player who was tied. You look at the last card in their hand on this final trick, and it's the player who has the tied card played earliest or the lowest card. And if it's tied like this, it's the player who played the lowest card in the final trick. And if that's tied, it's whoever played it earlier. And that's the differences for Corgi Pileup. As you can see here, there's a cauldron, there's a bubbling lake, and even a little reveal. Some buffalo or bison? I don't know the difference. Off the side, how cool. Anywho, let's cover NoLooseEnds first. I know I said I was biased, but I've covered Shut the Books before, and this is very similar to that, so you know that I like the game already. It's a Taiki Shinzawa, so you know I like the game already. I think the changes they made were really, really great. I think the getaway cards are a nice touch once you get familiar with the game, and you want those as a fun push to make people snitch more. And I mean, you can hear me using thematic terms for the bidding. I think the theme itself is a great touch. It's so fun how it fits the perfect crime blocking, the snitching, and I loved the art direction that Sai did with it. It's so cool to see her style just in different motifs and themes. I thought she knocked it out of the park. Oh my goodness. So just like behind me, which is both hot and pretty cool, I think NoLooseEnds is great. So now let's go talk about Corgi Pileup. And here we are at the mud volcano area to talk about Corgi Pileup. I don't like the game too much. I think it's super restrictive on the hand size and choices are obvious or forced. I don't love it. I do think Paul did a great job of making it kind of schadenfreude scoring. I think that adds something fun to the game. But I will say, Sai's art is absolutely adorable. I love the corgis. It looks absolutely gorgeous. And that is Corgi Pileup and NoLooseEnds. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you at the next park. Bye!